Hello, my name is Tanya, and I am working on what a studied person would call the laws of nature, the quantum physics, the way the universe works. I am someone. Start by I can do. Um, I can see things before they happen, and I can create energy that some people can't. I can go to the laundromat. I everything I'm going to say right now, I have on live video. I go live. I say things, I do things before they happen. Um, I go to a laundromat, I do my laundry, the dryers stop. And these are old dryers. These aren't the new modern dryers that kind of fluff your clothes for 10 minutes after. These are old dryers. And even the new ones, I'll open the door and close the door, and that triggers a finished cycle. They'll still move. What happens is when I'm folding my clothes and I'm talking about God and Jesus and the universe, the dryers respond and coordinate with the articles of clothing that I've taken out of the dryers and the placement of them, and based on my intention, right? I genuinely like communicating with these other spheres, with the stars and the moon and the sun. I communicate with nature. And a lot of people don't understand how the universe works, but there are several people that I've found that are pretty darn close. First, Stephen Hawking, whom, as he was passing, I was doing a live video expressing something was moving and the new prodigy was coming, and I was the new prodigy for the moment. Now, someone else will take over. It's a paradigm. So, when Stephen Hawking was diagnosed with his illness, I was born. That was the shift in everything. But the reason he had the illness that he had was because of his intention. He wanted something, and in order to receive it, he had to become it. Now, he wanted to take numbers and manipulate these numbers and understand these numbers and be at one with these numbers so he could figure out how the universe worked. Therefore, his universe became a gadget because he used gadgets to do this. What you use becomes your reality. So, say you're a smoker. Smoking spirits, right? They don't call thing, and they things like of that nature. Nature, trees, rocks, every single thing within this universe has a spirit. It has an energy. Everything, even if man made it, it came of this universe. There, when you eat meat, right? And then you're like, wow, I don't, man, I think I'm going to take a nap. Or, wow, I'm in a, like within 24 hours, as you're digesting, literally taking it in, your mood will shift. You'll have bouts of aggression or tears or frustration, or maybe you'll bump your elbow or drop something on your foot or some kind of injury. What happens is you were aligned based on the suffering of the animal you consumed. Whatever they suffered before their death, that's what you'll suffer in here, right? And some of it will be physical, but it will accumulate energy builds. And that's how you'll end up with cancer and liver problems and kidney problems and vision problems. You will slowly amass suffering like animals are tested, right? Animals are tested. Imagine you're an animal and you're in a lab and someone's coming at you with that needle again and you're like, no, 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 stay away from my eyes. At some point, you'll accumulate energy where you're going to be going, oh, damn, my eyes. Or no, no, don't. And the universe will align you to be tested on and cut open. That's just how it works. So these women that don't think they're beautiful, it's because someone's coming in, or say you're eating a steak and you're like, that doesn't look good. I don't like the way that looks. Someone will say to you, man, you don't look good. I don't like the way you look. It's an exact echo. It's like an echo. It's that when you take the rock and it ripples, all of those things ripple through you. That becomes your identity. That's why they say you are what you eat, but they don't really understand the reality of that. We were not supposed to eat meat. Remember in the Bible, they said, first, judge, ye be judged. That's the law. That is the law of nature. That is the law straight across the board for you, for me, for nature. So what happens when you go into a forest and you cut down trees? You're like, I'm going to cut down trees. You cut it down, all of these trees, and you build homes with them. Now, what do you do when you build a home? Do you live in it, or exist in it, or use it to nurture and foster other living beings? Now, some, like my home that I had before, it was a little more avocado than this green. Now, today I have green on, and I have this bag. So I'm like a plant and a bumblebee in a minute. But he built this home, and like my home, I remember there was a kitty door, and I abducted 4 feral kittens from their mother. I didn't just abduct them. I thought I knew what was best for them. So I had lived in it, and my landlord at the time was trying to have his gardener catch these kittens. And I was allergic to cats, and I really didn't want to care for cats. I really didn't. But I still thought cats were cute. You know, you still like cats. You're like, oh, I love cats. But I saw this gardener running around the backyard trying to catch kittens. So I contacted my landlord, and he goes, yeah, he's going to go dump them off in a field so they're not a nuisance. And I'm like, what are they going to eat out there? You know, and the universe was like mice. But I was thinking, they're not going to have access to anything. I can't. Jeez. And my kids really wanted cats. So I contacted this place called the Feral Cat Coalition. And they sent me all of this information. And they're like, oh, you can just like have them spayed and neutered, stuck back out there. And I'm like, that doesn't solve the problem. They still have fleas all over them, and they're hungry. And so I contacted a vet. He came out, and he goes, nope, those are feral cats. I can't help you. Sorry, I don't deal with feral cats. And I am like, damn, what? So anyway, I contacted another vet, Melrose La Brea Animal Hospital. The vet came out. He had this hearty laugh. he was awesome. He really was awesome. And so he tells me, okay, you're gonna have to catch these cats. And he prescribed, I have to catch these cats. And he prescribed, I don't even know if he came out. I think he just prescribed the medication for me. But he did come out to, actually, he did come out, I believe, to pick them up and took them one by one to the vet, or two by one. And there was one left, Tiggy. He was the tabby, and Tiggy had the most drugs in him, and Tiggy was like stumbling around, and I kept trying to catch him, but the mom was like really angry with me. Eventually I caught Tiggy, but you're like laughing, nervous laughter when you're seeing this cat stumble. So I'm like, I thought I was doing a good thing. But I did feel remorse about the mom. And the vet goes, I wish you could have caught the mom too. And I'm like, I didn't even really try to catch the mom. It didn't even occur to me to catch the mom. I mean, it did, but it didn't. I didn't even think. So I didn't catch the mom. And then the kittens were at the vet for over a month. And it took a while to rehabilitate, right? The vet said they each had over 150 fleas on them at least. He said there were so many fleas on them. And they would not have made it, in his eyes, if we didn't do what we did. But at the same time, I was aligned for these life. The universe aligns you based on your past life. So I was aligned to experience everything I've experienced so far. But I experienced everything trying to do the right thing. But it was never the right thing for nature. It was the right thing for some, but not for the collective. So I then brought these cats home, and then the landlord said the cats can't stay. So they had been staying in my daughter's room in a very large cage, and like I would sleep by the cage, and my daughter would like sleep in the room, and they would smell us, they would get used to us, and I think my son would lay in there. I don't really recall. I don't think I slept so much as just would lay there or sit there or just engage with them. And then we released them into the room, then we released them into the home. And that was a few months, and the landlord said, you gotta leave or get rid of the cats. And I'm like, well, for crying out loud, they're still not like trusting of people. Yet. So, oh my gosh, I'm trying to get to the valley and I went the wrong way. So these cats, you gotta remember, I overdrugged Tiggy. I drugged them all. A drug is a drug, be it to a human or an animal. The universe sees you as a drug pusher of sorts. So then what would occur? My son, anyway, I contacted my ex and I'm like, okay, we need to buy a house. So we purchased a house. Out in Silver Lake. And I would live in this house from 2005 until 2014. In that time, for legal reasons I can't talk about it, but my ex, I will not mention anything further, had taken my children, which are not his children, while I was in the hospital. Not his children. While I was in the hospital, right? Just like the mama was unable to care, I was unable to care for my kids right then. But instead of paying the nanny her wage that I had been paying her, he offered her less with more hours, and she declined. And so he sent my children to be with his mistress, and she ended up my son was depressed, obviously, and she called the authorities, and he ended up in a foster home. And my daughter ended up in boarding school, and I had to fight for 4 months to get them back. And I imagine Mama Kitty only lived like 4 months after I took her children, or maybe she had more children. I'm unsure. I'd have to deal with a quantum physics major that actually understands the math to need help, because everything adds up to something, but it's a lot of math for me. It's a lot of, okay, well, everything's like that came from this came from this, but it's all attached to the same. From this came from this, but it's all attached to the same thing. So anyway, they said, we meant well, we thought we were doing the right thing, just like I did for Mama Kitty. So as I tell this story, I'm telling this story because 2 months ago, it's been about 2 months, I paint things once. I paint things before they happen. And I painted an orange female cat. And then I painted an orange cat laying on the bed, and a skateboard under the bed, and a telephone to the right in my photo, in my picture. Now, it didn't occur to me when I was painting. It didn't even occur to me, because I don't think in a dark way. And as I drive by a skeleton, I'm driving by James Pearce, and I love James Pearce t-shirts. So I painted this, and then I don't recall where I was that night, but I came home, and I don't know if I painted it like a few days before. I don't really recall, because I was dealing with work and my son's drug addiction at the time. Now, he was aligned for that drug addiction for many reasons, because I judged the way my mother took care of my sister when she was an addict, the way she handled her. And I questioned my sister for doing drugs, and then my firstborn would get stoned, and I would end up asking him to leave because I didn't want him doing drugs in the vicinity of my youngest. And so it would turn out that my youngest would be, and I didn't want him to do it around my daughter. So my youngest would be the addict, and he would be very much like Tiger's personality was just easy go. Like Tiger's personality was just easygoing and loving, and he would just like cuddle in your hair and purr and stuff. But and he would be the one that didn't trust at first, but then he's like, and then Lucky would be the hungry kitty, and he was just like ravenous, and that's all he wanted when he was younger was food. And the vet at first is like, this one might not be kind, and I'm like, oh, he's just hungry. My cats are the most loving cats. They're like so laid back, so loving. People come over and like, man, you got friendly cats. I took Lucky to the vet the other day, and the vet was just like, man, this is like the easiest cat. He's just like by far today, but he's just a laid back. I'm like, yeah, my cat. The one that doesn't want you to hold her is the youngest, and she was not from this litter. Her name is Snowball. I call her Boots. Bootsy a long time. But she's the cutest cat, and my son connects with her. But my son would also get fitted with these boots while he's in a coma. And he's coming out of the coma. He had a drug overdose recently, just like Tiggy. And it took Tiggy days to come out of that drug overdose. And when we moved, I ended up, the vet said, you shouldn't home these cats out. He basically said these cats were meant to be with you because you'll put the time, the effort, the resources into these cats. And I did. I took them to the vet when they needed. I cared for these guys, tried different diets to see which ones would be the best for them. They were on like raw, and after a while they didn't want raw anymore. And they like chicken and beef, and they love fancy foods. But they are who they are. In the past 2 years, I've lost 3 of the cats, and everything that I lost the cats to, I also experienced. One, Zorro Kitty, his internal organs were shutting down, and he had a bladder problem, and he was urinating on everything. And so then I ended up with my first UTI, and man, that thing was insane. I was screaming at the top of my lungs. That was the most painful experience, and it lasted for days. And then my son had one of his friends staying with us at the time, and my son wasn't there, and this kid is just like, I don't know what's going on. It's like the Twilight Zone, and he's listening to these Audible books at rapid speed. I'm like, oh my God, the universe has taken this kid over, and this kid is, by all accounts, bipolar, but he's not. He's suffering whatever energy his father and whomever is putting into the universe. And his father was bipolar. But bipolar is not what people think it is. That's why they can't figure it out. But I'll explain more. So you're aligned to suffer based on your past lives and your judgments in this life. And your past life, you're born into the situation based on the judgments and how you left the world behind. Say you commit suicide in your past life, you're going to be born into what you left behind. If you left your children an orphan, you may be born as an orphan. Or it could be, if you didn't have children, you'll be born into what you left into that chaos you left behind, and then you'll work through it. But there are, there are so many different for everything. So with my son, I am going to the hospital right now, and he's waking up from his coma, and he's aware. I'm able to explain the things that are happening to him, and that calms him down. He's also in a place where he understands my energy. So if I have a thought outside of the moment, he gets very upset, and that's what man perceives as God, right? He keeps things disciplined. He wants you to focus on what needs to be focused on. Be present where you're at. So like if I'm with my granddaughter and I start thinking about something other than my granddaughter when I'm with her, she gets a little anxious. She wants to stop what we're doing. So I got to stay focused, and then she enjoys the moment, and then she goes on her merry little way, goes back to her mom. She's like, hey mom, I had my quality time with my grandmother. So it's about the quality of time. And considering my son, he's been in the hospital for over a month now. Today they're transferring him. And I bought a hot towel cabinet so I can, I bought vegan products for him, but to wash someone's hair when they're in bed, not an easy task. And I have to let the water run for a long time, and that's a waste of resource. So I don't want to waste water, but I do want to appreciate and thank water. So I got towels. I'm a trained esthetician. I don't practice, but I've been trained. So these simple things I know how to do. So I can shave. I can have the hot towels so he can get a great shave. I can give him facials because he's laying there. I can put the hot towels. I can put lotion on his feet and put hot towels on them. He can have a spa day every day as long as I'm there. He's never had a spa day. And recently, one of the kids came to visit at the hospital, and this kid kept... Manipulation is a form of need, right? And even though I wanted to tend to his friend's need, this friend was just going to monopolize and act as though nothing's going on with my son. Because some kids are in survival mode. They don't realize this kid shot 3 times. So to him, he's like, I've been shot 3 times and I came out of it and I'm fine. And I'm like, well, did anyone try to manipulate you while you were in the hospital? Because this isn't, you're acting like my son doesn't need any care right now. So I didn't know this guy when I first met him, and he's not a horrible person. I just don't have time for that kind of heavy right now when I need to focus on my son. So the first night I gave him $50, and I didn't have $50 to give him, but I gave him $50. And then the next time I asked him how his day was, and God set me up for that. I asked him how his day was going, and he said, not so great, I want to kill myself. I was like, oh damn. And seriously, the universe is aligning for something for right now, and I don't know what it is. But I can't really see. And shit. I can't really see what it might do. I need to get over it, and I'm on a freeway that is somewhat busy. So I met this kid at a spa because he said he needed somewhere to sleep. I just need to sleep. Same thing my son would say, and then I would go sleep in the car with him. And I didn't have the money at the time. And then the universe just magically aligned me with the money. So I met this kid at a spa. You can sleep at a Korean spa. It's $35 a night. You can use, in case you travel, use this information. If you're in Los Angeles and you don't want to rent an Airbnb and you don't have a gold plan so you can use the shower and stuff at a airport, go to a spa. You can go to a Korean spa. It's $35 to spend the night. That's to spend the night. Now you're in a public place, but they're like a cubby and there are lockers so you can put your things away. You can sit in the jacuzzi, you can take a shower, you can get a spa treatment. Get up and go for $35. That's way better than spending. If you were going to go to a hotel, you could invite someone, find some kid that's on the street, like peddling money or something from panhandling, and say, dude, let's go to the spa. It's $35. You'll get to shower. They have like a snack bar there. You could buy them a nice, healthy meal for $50. So that's what I did. I got him a gift card for $50. So $35 went to his sleep, and then he had $15 to eat with. And I haven't really spoken to him since, other than to tell him I was really disappointed in the way he was trying to manipulate me when I was in a crisis mode, trying to deal with my son. And he minimized my son's experience by saying he's going to be fine. Now, I always repeat after me, he's going to be fine. But I'm taking steps to make sure he's going to be fine, right? My car's loaded up with stuff. I go to the hospital. I spend the night. I go home in the morning to feed my pets, to change the kitty litter, to walk the dog. And I don't even get to, spend quality time with anybody except my son right now, and my granddaughter giving her a bath. But I do spend time okay, I'm going to brush your hair, cat, or to notice one of my cats had mites and the dog had to have brought it in. And so I ordered something online. I asked the vet what to do. He said put mineral oil. So I'm chasing my cat around with mineral oil. And but these are things I'm trying to do every day, and then I spend the day either running errands, or the other day I did go to a movie, but to try to decompress and stay calm. And I go back to the hospital at night and then massage my son's feet, my son's hands, listening to the doctors, trying to relocate, taking in all the messages that I can from people writing him. And there are a lot of people writing him. And I'm trying to take the time to write people back and say, thank you for such a nice message. Some messages make me cry. Some messages give me great hope. So, and then I hear their stories and then I want to help them. And, but I'm just one person. And I really haven't had time to process all of this yet, just like Mama Kitty probably didn't have time. She probably spent the last days of her life looking for her kittens. And there I was, like an asshole. I took them. But she would be happy to know, and I'm sure she's supervised some of my judgments, and she's thought she does love my babies. She did the best she could for them. And I'd like to think that all of these different lives, that maybe the kittens were someone from my past lives, and they came back as cats. Maybe we're aligned. These are things I'm still learning. But I do know why the things happen, right? I'm able to go in and go, okay, that happened because of this, and this happened because of that. I remember one day I got really angry at God and I was just like yelling. And you know what? My kids started yelling at me. My kids went off on me just like I did him. I was just like, oh, that's how it works. Then you start begging God for things, and then people will start begging you for things. Ironically, the church will beg you first. You're Sunday, you're like begging God, please, and there they come with that basket, and God's like, give them the money. And then God wants you to find out later that they're not really doing the things they were supposed to do with the money. Why? Because you're not praying properly. You're not praying properly. Did you know there's a proper way to pray? Thank the universe for what it's given you. That's the start. If you're eating meat, which I wouldn't recommend too much of, but if you're eating meat and you're like, thank you, God, for this, God's like, hey, I didn't kill that cow. I flat out told you not to kill man. And you're like, no, it's a cow. He's like, well, did you read that part where I said I turned man into fish and crawling things? Crawling things are things on the earth. Anything with a knee can crawl. Anything can slither. Anything that touches the ground is a crawl. So that moves. And you're like, oh, damn. Remember that part where we started out as man and animal? And then God created language differences. Therefore, we became man and animal. But our instinct, that instinct to, like when you're born as a baby, your instinct is, don't you think it's weird that babies can't walk within an hour after being born, but most everything else can? Most everything else is just like, hey, I can walk. Long before man, because that animal instinct stays with the animals, and we have we're like the dark side, and we don't even realize it. We sugarcoat, like my paintings are very bright and colorful and full of little stories, but they create very dark things. Like I've painted fires and school shootings and earthquakes and volcanoes erupting and deaths. And I just thought I was painting like happy things. And it shows that we are the black hole. You, me, all of us are the black hole. All of our energy is manipulated and dark. It really is. Why do you get up and go to work? Why do you get up and go to work? To make money. Where does money come from? Eventually, it came from trees at first. It came from trees. Now there's all kinds of currency. So it came from trees. That's why it will be the death of you, because it was the death of the tree. You will become a slave to money, just like you will become a slave to ego. You'll become a slave to indifference. You'll become a slave to saying, that's not my problem. And then the universe says, oh, that's what you say? That's not your problem. Okay. Well, then God says, then you are not my problem. Has anyone really stopped to say, okay, they let you know that God is just. He is fair. Just and fair. What does that imply? that implies a mirror, a reflection. So, because if you look in the mirror and you go, the mirror is going to go right back. If you flip the mirror off, the mirror is going to flip you off back. If you break the mirror, you'll see fragments. So, and they say breaking a mirror will give you 7 years bad luck. Well, I don't believe it'll give you 7 years bad luck, but it will give you 7 years, maybe more, of your reflection in different lights. You'll experience your truth. Like me, I broke a mirror right before all this happened. And you'll face your, some people call it dharma. It's dharma. It's your path based upon your intention. Now, I try to give examples. I won't give any right now because my son's in the hospital and I really don't want them coming back to him while he's vulnerable. So, but all of the stories that I have in my life will explain cause and effect. And what you put out there comes back to you. But I'm going to stop videotaping now and put on my navigation.